Good evening, Patriots, and welcome to the Q Lounge Live. Hi, I'm your host, Shady Groove, joined by my co-host, intheMatrixxx. Also tonight, Kiwi Patriots joining us. Thanks everyone for coming around. This is the intheMatrixxx channel. It is just after 6 p.m. on the West Coast, 9 p.m. on the East Coast. It is Friday night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us, and thank you so much out there for the winning. I cannot imagine a better group to be with, and I can't imagine a better time in history to be here. Folks, you have seen some unprecedented stuff over the last couple of weeks, and let me tell you what, I have never been more proud of this group out here. You guys out here have done some remarkable, I mean remarkable stuff in the last couple of weeks. Unbelievable if you're paying attention what we are seeing in our real world today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I would just like to say right here at the top, for anyone who is joining us and is new to Q, I appreciate you being here, and you will not find a better set of moderators on the internet to bring you the sauce, guys. So as we talk about stuff and discuss things tonight, we're going to be going through some pretty intensive stuff, and these guys will be dropping you the information and the links that you can get to the information so you can help red pill the world, ladies and gentlemen. OMG is the only thing I have to say, and with that, I would truly love for my co-host intheMatrixxx, where is my partner in justice?
Wow, Shady. I have been waiting all day for good evening, Patriots. Oh my God. And welcome back to the Q Lounge Live. I know that you did one before this, but I'm joining you today. I'm honored. And I tell you, Shady, we took the day off a little bit. I think we streamed about 20 hours last week, and we stayed up with the Out of Shadows crew, just blessed that you Patriots helped get this thing viral. We've got articles about it, Shady, and you might cover that. We've got Q posts. We've got POTUS kicking ass and taking names.
That is right.
Who's tired of winning? I'm just tired from winning, I think. Just a little bit, Shady.
Well, that we're maybe just a little bit tired from winning, and we kind of felt overwhelmed a little bit today, so we thought we would come in here and surprise you guys with Matrix coming in. But we also have a very special guest. For all of you who have been to my channel for very long, you have seen multiple times this gentleman help you out tremendously on the chat there and bring in links and sauce almost every single day to the Matrix Groove Hour. Kiwi Patriot, would you please join us, sir?
Okay.
Guys, how you doing? I am so honored to be on the show. Thank you for inviting me, Shady, Matrix. You guys are awesome, and you guys in the audience, in the chat, love you guys lots. Thank you so much. Really nice to see you.
Well, I really appreciate you joining us here, man, because I wanted to a little bit tonight. We're going to go through. We do have new Q posts from today, so we're going to get those done here right at the top. But it's going to lead into a what I think will be an interesting roundtable discussion regarding everything that we're seeing in our lives right now. The plan to heal you, the plan for the world to heal, the idea that we have been under a dramatic, demonic deception for centuries is seemingly coming to an end, and it's all really being done on the backs of where we go one, we go all worldwide now, ladies and gentlemen. We have a big elephant in the room, and the big elephant in the room for the last couple of weeks will be Out of Shadows. If you guys have not seen this movie, it is kicking butt and taking names out there, and I would just like to really quick just say something to our friends Crux or Mike Smith and Brad Martin and Liz Crokin and Kevin Shipp, who put this movie together. It has now gone uber viral. I think they're pushing 8 million views on the official channel, and that is so super censored around the world. And we've actually had a little bit of behind the scenes stuff that might indicate that they have upwards of 29 to 30 million views in the world. And so this is a red pill that so many people can bite into and actually swallow, because it brings in every single aspect of what it is that we've been talking about here, guys. And I would just
Shady,
like
may I address that as well really quick, just about the views? Do you mind?
Okay.
So Shady, our web guy has a proxy server. He did like this search, right? So he changed the name of Out of Shadows into each language to each country he went to. And he scraped all the videos in every country that says Out of Shadows in their language, and even regular, English. Last night around midnight, he scraped all those together, crunched the data. It was around 22 million views. And, that's a rough, because there's other countries he did not go to. So that's kind of a rough, it might be more is what I'm saying. And to have this thing go that viral. And he also went ahead and took a look at everybody's comments, in the language. He translated the comments and took it. He wanted me to kind of read this to you guys. Matrix, I must share this with you. People all over the world are asking for translations. The French, the Italians, the Iranians. I translated some of the Iranian reviews of the trailers, and those people over there want more. They don't hate us like the MSM News over here tells us. They love the American culture. The world is begging for more translations. It's amazing to read. I am using an online translator, and every country I proxy to, I am getting different versions of YouTube, and you'd be amazed at how the world really cares about us. They're saying things like, God bless the Americans. Keep us in your prayers, and glad we're waking up, and so on and so on. we've been lied to, Shady, for so many years. How amazing. The world loves us, guys. They want their freedom. We want our freedom. It's very simple. And Shady, that's from John. And I wanted to give him a hat tip too. He's been doing some amazing stuff. And I just wanted to pause and just say that, and, Mike Smith in his testimony in that video, how he gave himself to God is just absolutely amazing. And all this, with our prayers, with our focus, made this thing viral. Shady, I just wanted to really quick read that to everybody because it's so beautiful.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And to understand for everyone out there, the absolute perfect moment is the only thing I can say. This dropped on 4/10/20 just a week ago. And with the excitement that was kind of building around that, and I want to give you guys a little bit of behind the scenes stuff. Matrix and I have been speaking with Mike for almost a year and a half now. We started talking to him about this project in the fall of 2018, and Mike trusted us with revealing to us who he was and what his story was and how he was going to present it and what he was working on. And I'm just like to say, you hit it out of the park, Mike and Brad and Kevin and Liz, and the four of you are such heroes, not necessarily just in the Q movement, but in the movement for the truth. And that's what we all want to get to, is we want to get to the truth. And so with the friendship that we've developed with them, I am just so honored that they decided to come on the Matrix Groove Hour and to do the pre-release, and then we did a release party with them. And then lo and behold, almost just less than a day later, Q tagged them once they hit
after it hit 1 million views.
After it hit 1 million views and sent it super viral. And then Google and Facebook and Twitter all started freaking out, trying to edit and censor and stop the views and throw up other people's videos for the views. And so that really tells us that we're over the target. And for the guys who took it upon themselves, this is what you call bravery and courage, to stand up to the establishment that has so paralyzed all of the truth movement. And you guys have to understand, the media paralyzes the truth movement. They call you truthers. And I tell you what, I don't take it as an insult, and I never did. They started calling me...
I'd rather be called a liar, Shady.
They started calling us truthers way back after 9/11, and it never really seemed like something that was a dig at me, but it was a dig at the media to be thinking that was somehow a derogatory term, much like the truth of Pizzagate and all of the other things that Mike talks about. Mike goes into the things of Tavistock and Laurel Canyon in this video and touches on them. And so through the show tonight, we're going to give you a little bit of some links and things so you can connect back to the information that he's presented in this movie. But real quick, I'd like to scroll down here.
Shady,
and I would like
to... I hate interrupting you. I'm so sorry, because one more thing I wanted to say. Right Wing Watch, and you're probably going to cover it, I don't know, and Heavy.com both said that, I don't know how it went this viral, but there was he said part of Smith's promotion strategy has been including appearing on programs hosted by top QAnon content creators such as intheMatrixxx, Shady, and Matrix, and you guys. And then they're like saying other viral conspiracy theory videos online pale in comparison to the explosive reach, guys. You did this. Thank God. I love you, Shady. I love you guys. I'm shot out of a cannon.
That's all right. I think we're all shot out of a cannon. This has been an incredible week, and it really is going to just escalate from here. And I hope everyone realizes how this is going to escalate from here, because now we have an amazing foundation. And one thing I wanted to show you was this little donate button right down here at the bottom. And I wanted to show you that because these guys are not asking for anything. And I want to make sure that you know that if you feel like this movie has done something for you or you feel value with it, would you please share the love through this donate button with them? Because I think that there's a lot more to come, and I think that Mike and the crew have a bunch of stuff in mind, and I would like to see this be a great success for them so that they decide to help us more in the future. This is a turning point, and there's times and places in your life where you see and understand turning points, and this is a massive turning point towards good. Okay, we have been fighting evil for so long in this realm, and I don't know that we've ever had this much momentum. I'm pretty sure we've never had this much momentum going against them. So please, if you guys would support these guys, and not only that, but share the video, share the website, and understand that you can speak. This is a video where you can speak to your friends and family about kindly and calmly. Simply share the information with them and let them do with it what they want. Some people don't want to hear it. Some people are saying it's BS because they know what they're covering up. Hashtag Corey Feldman and other people that are out there that are really coming hard against these guys. And it's very interesting to see who starts popping up whenever the truth starts to be told. And we have known this for years and years and years. We've watched this happen for years and years. And this movie and Mike's story, with the way that he had his own experience coming to God and his own experience with how God started to show him things in his life and how important he was and how much his story would matter. You know, most of us don't really think that our story matters. And so it's a very humbling thing to be walking in the path of the Creator and to think that, oh, I'm a very small, insignificant part, but a part nonetheless. But for him to have had such a clear vision and to hold on to this clear vision for the time to get it through and to be pushing to get this done on 4/10/20 as a marker day, 4/10/20 came to be a marker day in the history of mankind, everyone. And so I am just so pleased with those folks and with their work on this. And I think that everybody else out there is a little put off by how professionally done it was and how
Shady,
beautifully the story was interwoven.
Breaking news. Well, and this is from Mike. Well, I guess my agency didn't like the film. I just checked my IMDb page, and I guess I'm no longer a client. I wonder why. So guys, if you could go just pay for the price of a film and help him out. He would never ask you. He hates when we ask. But wow, he no longer is a client.
And this right here, guys, this is Crux 415072251 on Twitter. This is Mike Smith on Twitter. And please give him a follow and don't hesitate to type a message to him over there, because he really sees you guys, and he's overwhelmed at how beautiful you all are in the reflection. And see, we all start seeing ourselves in the reflection of others, and that gives us more power. And Q keeps telling us, you forgot your power. Well, that means that we forgot our inspiration and how to work the inspiration reality around, how to pass on the inspiration. And that's really what we're wanting to do, is to pass on the inspiration and to be inspiring. And I think that's why Matrix and I kind of get on there and go at it the way we do every day, is because we want you guys to see the stuff that we see, and we want you to start getting more loud and more proud. And the deep state just seems to not like that narrative too much, Matrix, do they?
No, they don't like it at all, Shady. In fact, they don't want you to know. We are breaking the cycle, Shady. We are breaking their ability to control the narrative. Wow.
Absolutely, we are. And so with that, I'm going to jump over here into top, and Kiwi and Matrix, we're going to go through here real quick. I want to play this clip that Q dropped us from Dr. Stephen Smith on Laura last night, and I'd like for everyone to check. Oh wow, this has already gotten 1 million views. I'd like for everyone to check out what Q is pointing us to here real quick.
News that we're breaking tonight on the Ingram angle. Dr. Smith's one of the most preeminent infectious disease specialists in the United States. His father was a legend. But Dr. Smith, you pointed out that not a single patient of yours, COVID patient, that has been on the hydroxy regimen has had to be intubated. For people who don't know what intubated means, please explain quickly.
Yeah, so intubated means you're in respiratory failure and you have to be put on a ventilator. Intubation means actually putting the tube down into your trachea, and then you're placed on a ventilator for support, respiratory support. We've had, I mentioned, the 20 intubations. Over most all of them occurred in the first 2 days. More importantly, no person that has received 5 days or more of the hydroxychloroquine and zithro combination has been intubated. The chance of that occurring by chance, according to my sons Leon and Hunter, who did some stats for me, are 0.000 something. It's ridiculously low depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculously low no matter how you look at it. We worry about selection bias in this situation, but I cannot think of a reason why, if all else is equal, why people that have received 5 days or more, or even 4 days or more, of this hydroxychloroquine azithro regimen wouldn't get intubated. In other words, if the regimen didn't work, why would it just be the people that didn't get nearly complete the regimen? Most of the people were in the first 2 days.
Right, Dr. Smith, we're going to have you. We're going to have you back. Yeah, it's a game changer, correct?
It's a game changer. It's absolute game changer. I think these data go to really support the French data. Now you actually have an intra-cohort comparison saying that this regimen works. And I'll get some real statisticians besides my sons to look at that. Dr.
Smith, thank you for all the work. You and I and our medicine cabinet of folks and all your colleagues, thank you.
Laura, I think this is the beginning of the end of the pandemic. I'm very serious.
Wow. Now, what you're seeing here is someone explaining a bit of truth to you. And what we are seeing once we started within the last couple of weeks hearing about this and digging into it deeper, this is a game changer because I think, and this is a little bit of my conjecture, but we know that a lot of the things that ail us are engineered. And I'm talking about things like lupus. I'm talking about MS. I'm talking about fibromyalgia. I'm talking about a lot of different
Lyme
things.
disease.
Lyme disease is a huge thing. All of these things we can pretty much prove were laboratory-created viruses. Now, you can denounce that or not like me saying that or whatever, but I think that when any time that they engineer something to plague us with, that they engineer it from an antidote. And this is the antidote for multiple things. So what my perspective is that once people learn the truth, then they need justice. This is not about right. This is not about left. This has nothing to do with Democrats. This has nothing to do with Republicans. And the American people, if they and when they wake up to learn that they have been suppressed cures for all their ailments, whether it be their grandparents or their parents or sisters or brothers that have suffered with all of these different things, once you begin to learn that these are engineered, not just things that happen in our society, we can go back in history. You can't find any of these things throughout history, but it's interesting, the history on hydroxychloroquine and the base components of this, and we're going to kind of dig into that a little bit. But this video Q dropped us specifically to pay attention to because he wants you to get loud about it. He wants you to talk about it. He wants you to dig into it and try to figure out what it is they're hiding from us, because in my opinion, they are hiding all of this from you. And the thread goes away here. I'm going to scroll back down and grab the thread because I'm going to go through his thread here for these next couple of posts because we're going to dig into those. Oh, there he is. Hey, buddy. What are you doing?
Where we go one, we go all. Worldwide.
Worldwide, baby.
There he is.
And that was a nice message sent out today from these guys that Q tagged. And what do they have to say?
Los Angeles, California. Where we go one?
55 LA.
Los Angeles, California. Where we go one?
And that is worldwide. And Q has tagged in the last week, I think it was 16 accounts. The day before Easter Sunday, he tagged 17 different accounts and showed us different patriots from around the world and their message of love and support for you. And realize this. This is why you're important, America. Everyone that's in America. The world is looking up to us again. As Matrix said before, we are attempting to actually set an example again as freedom to the world as opposed to oppressive regimes. And the world is not blind to that. They see that, just like they saw what George Bush was doing that was not right. They see this as well. And the tide is turning. The time has shifted. And you guys are here on the wall at the right time. Q, 3980 drops us the meme of renegade. When have we seen this before? Renegade, a person who deserts and betrays an organization, country, or set of principles. Traitor, defector, dude, turncoat, rebel. This is our target. Renegade. That was his U.S. Secret Service code name. You understand that, right? He chose that code name. Our current president's code name is Mogul, for a comparison. Okay? We are coming after them, and they are afraid. They are deathly afraid that you are going to find the truth. What else would they be afraid of? What else would they be afraid of other than you might find out the truth, right? I got that one out of order there, but I wanted to scroll down through here and look at this. This was Matrix saying, why did they recent Donald Trump trip to India? Did he make a deal to produce hydroxychloroquine? Game changer. India says they have plenty of hydroxychloroquine, Matrix.
Yeah. Dude, you should see all the Indian companies doing this right now. They will do over 59, I think, % of the world's hydroxychloroquine. It's amazing. And if you notice the maps too of people that are infected with COVID, people that have malaria and use this stuff, there's not a lot of cases.
Well, isn't that interesting that you're pointing out that around the equator on planet Earth, there's not a lot of COVID cases because they already have hydroxychloroquine antiviral in their system, almost like it's built up an immunity to it, huh?
Yes.
So,
and if you go up a little bit,
yep.
There's an article there that, because we need to bring the sauce right there. Like they stopped using it here in 2007, 1990 to 2007. And if you have rheumatoid arthritis, this would help you. If you have it reduces the frequency of organ involvement and disease flares.
So why would they discontinue the use and then the media be so up in a fervor about it, you think?
Disease care, money, profits over people.
Oh, really? Profits over people. That would be the situation that you're looking at. Something similar. Go ahead.
What's the point in engineering a disease this difficult? Going to all the trouble of spreading it out through China, sneaking it past the World Health Organization, paying all those people off. What's the point in doing that if you can't make some money on a vaccine? They don't want us to have the cure already. That's too easy. They won't make any money off it.
They want vaccines so that they can engineer more stuff in you. And I'm here to tell you, and a lot of people are going to like me saying this, but the stuff that we have, cancer, lupus, Lyme disease, a lot of it came from vaccinations, everyone. Look at this. Goldman Sachs asks, in biotech research, is curing patients a sustainable business model? Well, that's an interesting question. What do you guys think? Or is you going to the hospital and being cured a sustainable business model? And then let's take another step back and let's look at the creation of the American Medical Association. I remember whenever I was young, guys, and I used to watch this show called Little House on the Prairie. And there was a guy in a wagon, and he would ride around looking for stuff to do all day. And they called him a doctor. And now we have institutions that look like universities that are built in every city called hospitals. Isn't that very interesting how human beings have become so plagued by their environment just in the last 100 years or so? How convenient is that the Food Pyramid and the American Medical Association and all of these ABC, everybody talks about the ABC agencies, CIA, FBI. What about the other ABC agencies like the FDA? Food and Drug Administration. What are they really doing? Are they there to heal you? Are they really there to heal you? This is not for government to do. This is for us to do. This is for you to do. And we're here to show you that they understand the idea that a cure is a terrible model for profit. And that is the bottom line. That is the bottom line. And that is why we fight every day, because we fight for truth and transparency in our system. That is what we want. We want truth and we want transparency. And I don't think that anybody is going to stop much short of those goals, guys. That is what we have to aim for, and that is what we have to get into. And as we look around and we start to find things, then we start to see stuff like, oh, U.S. patent number 10130701, coronavirus issued November 20, 2018. Then it's coming out in the news today that we gave 3-point-something ridiculous number to this exact laboratory in Wuhan. And if you notice, all of the clowns on TV, you know who they are, seem to want to say that, oh, we know it's inadvertent. It was just somebody who left work that day and then they went shopping and then, oh, it must have just got out of the lab. If you've watched or if you've seen any pictures of this quote-unquote lab in China, well, it is not exactly what you would consider a lab, because most labs are uber clean and very secure. And if you take a look around on the outside of this lab, it looks like it's under a basement of a large building and very dilapidated and not really what I would consider a lab, much less a place where Americans should be giving $100 million or whatever it is for them to research on how they can control you. Okay, that's what they're doing. They're researching how can we control them. And they all work together and they all pretend like that, oh, they're not connected, but oh, we got Fauci, we got Soros, we got Kissinger. All of these people seem to agree. We got Bill Gates. All of them agree. Isn't that interesting how they all agree and they all come from some of these very exact same organizations who have weaponized coronavirus, and it was created by the same people that brought you Facebook, the same people that brought you Amazon, the same people that brought you the modern web, okay? This is no different. And what you're watching is you're watching the president expose them. That's why, you know, so many people were up in arms, Matrix, like, oh, why are they putting Fauci up there? Fauci is this. Yeah, well, would we have known anything about Fauci if he hadn't put him up there? Would we have dug on him and found out his connection to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation? And now the mainstream America knows that the WHO funding is America, number one funder, number two, Bill Gates. And then the president removed the funding, and the whole clown media agrees again. Every time. And we saw the clip we watched yesterday of Obama and how he said, all the intelligence agencies agree that Russians hacked the DNC. Oh, all the medical experts agree that the coronavirus, it's, look at how they all agree. Anytime any huge amount of people completely agree on the exact same thing, more than likely, they do not have your best interest at heart. And so all of you...
Shady too, like,
yes, sir.
You know, remember our president, everybody was really mad at him going over to India. Remember that?
Yes, they were. They were extremely upset at him for that.
If you go to my Twitter, I just did a tweet, you know, did our president make a deal with India for hydroxychloroquine? And I have a Bing search, and Shady looks like he did. And it's just a regular tweet at the top. And remember the flowers that they flew through up in the air? Kind of looks like hydroxychloroquine, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, like you're talking about the rose petals.
Excuse me, COVID.
Yep, right here.
There it is.
Yep.
Now hit the Bing search. It'll show you that he tapped India for hydroxychloroquine. He made a deal over there, and they're happy because they're going to have jobs. That's why they love our president over there. Simple, right?
Well, I think that maybe also that they're happy that we're working with an ally again. We pretty much decimated our relationship with India in the early mid 90s, right after Bush won, and shifted everything to China. Clinton, Bush 2, Obama. We had 24 years where everything it was being shipped to China as fast as they could get it over there because of the quote-unquote 16-year plan to destroy America, which all of you are very familiar with. Well, the plan to destroy America isn't just its principles, it isn't just its country, but its people. It's us. We have been overtaken by a virus, an invisible enemy, a scourge, a hidden scourge, as the president calls them. And that is this, everyone. That is these creatures who feed on us. In the event that I am reincarnated, I would like to return as a deadly virus in order to contribute something to solve our overpopulation issues. Prince Philip? Well, now that's a nice quote. Sure does seem like he doesn't care for me too much. I'm not sure if you think that that's a compliment to you or not, but look at all of the coordination that has had to come up. Here's George Tenet, ex-CIA head. Okay, all of these people we can connect in the background, and all of their stuff from Pirbright and multiple other companies that have been engineering this for a long time. But no, they've been working very, very diligently to engineer this, but it just happened to escape the lab in order to stop presidential rallies, in order to stop us from going anywhere, in order to keep Joe Biden from being seen. Just like Q told us the other day in the Q post, many, many things are connected to this operation right here, and we have all come here together to stop it. And the only way we're going to stop it is if we work diligently together and if we try our best to red pill our friends and neighbors. Now, you don't have to run telling your friends and neighbors that the coronavirus is a bioweapon and that they put it out there on us intentionally. But what you do need to do is you need to make them start to question whether or not what they're being told is the truth. And the Out of Shadows movie, mixed with the president and this current operation that we're seeing them run on us, which is trying to shut down our whole country, has a big, big part to do with all of it. It is the same thing, and it's all about controlling us, and it's all about dividing us, and it's all about keeping you alive, keeping you working, but keeping your mind from working. And all of these things, I think that we need to start having a conversation about, whether it is monosodium glutamate, whether it is fluoride, whether it is lauryl sulfates in all of the soap. You pointed us to chemicals and how chemicals were approved. Clorox, another thing that is not good for your human body to absorb, but you jump in the swimming pools all the time, and it literally, your body is like a sponge to chlorine. It pulls it in at enormous rates and very effective at getting it into your system whenever you're exposed to it through the skin, like your showers, and if you're on city water. They want us inundated with fluoride. They want us inundated with chlorine because we're more vulnerable to viruses, because you're less strong. And the whole operation right now, I think we're seeing get turned on its head. And so with that, I would just like to maybe just talk here real quick with Kiwi and Matrix about the history. And let's talk about, just for a few seconds, like Kiwi, we were talking a little bit earlier. And so maybe let's just go into for a real quick session here about, like, what are you finding out there? A little bit about the history of this hydroxychloroquine and what maybe have been done to us multiple times in the past.
I started by looking at the 1917 dig and Q post that Matrix found. And turns out malaria and these parasitic infections played a big role in that pandemic as well. Then I thought, okay, so this is a disease. It's a parasitical disease. I don't know why we're treating with a parasitic disease for the coronavirus. We're treating it with an anti-malaria parasitic drug. So I thought, let's see how long malaria has been around for. And I searched, typed into Google, ancient Egypt malaria, and sure enough, this thing has been around since before man. So this malaria problem of a parasite infecting and causing arthritic symptoms and all sorts of disease in the human body has been known and around for a long time.
And so there you go. So now we can connect that back to maybe the 1918 pandemic or influenza, the Spanish flu. Do you guys think that that was a false flag operation incubated and spread around the world as a way to weaken us and get us into the war? These things are.
So I,
Go ahead.
I actually did a little dig on that, Shady, and it was actually spread from two positions. One was from China. It left. It wasn't the same disease. It was two diseases that combined in the European population, but it left China and went to Germany to the front lines of the war in the really terrible conditions in the trenches, and it then met with the European the viruses in the European ecosystem at the time, as well as another virus that was being spread through a group of 100 American soldiers that were barracks together in a tight confine to deliberately incubate another strain of virus. And they were then shipped out over to Germany as well, and they met up there, and the virus combined, and that's when you got the 1918 flu, the pandemic. The Spanish flu actually came from two different strains combining, and it was deliberately engineered. The scenario behind it was deliberately engineered.
So isn't that interesting, the timeline that falls on right after they instill the Federal Reserve here in America, and we are coming out of the most prosperous time ever in the history, and a pretty much an industrial awakening, if you will, for lack of a better way to put it, in the late 1800s, of invention and the middle class growing to a size that it's never been before. All of a sudden, they finally get control of our wealth structure, and then they need to start what? They need to start culling the herd, because they cannot have us evolve past a certain degree. And then we step back even further in time, and then let's talk about the time of the plague. Okay, the massive plague in Europe. Do you guys think that was an engineered thing? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, really quick. I wanted to just interject real quick. So malaria and quinine. So it's quinine, which is the Q in there, right?
Hydroxychloroquine, quinine, right? Mm-hmm.
So there's an article that Brazil and Germany is the one in 1917, right, gave everybody typhus. And so there was a scientific issue between Brazil and Germany in regards to the quinine. Malaria, it was a quinine resistance, they called it. They did not want to use it. It was fought, because I believe what we're talking about today is valid today as it was valid back then. Pretty interesting stuff, guys.
110%. And what I'm kind of seeing from a 40,000 foot view is, let's say every single time in the history of the evolution or the awakening of mankind, every time we come to a precipice of a great awakening, such as we were very close to in the early 1900s, such as we were very close to during the time of the plague, then all of a sudden there's some sort of virus that spreads around and puts the world back into a quote-unquote dark ages type thing for us to go around again. And I think that this is a very good example to talk about right now, in the fact that what they're trying to do now is the same exact thing. We get all this momentum. We're trying to build up this momentum to a revelations of the world, of like, what's the truth, what's really going on. And then all of a sudden they think, oh, we're going to play this game again. But this time we had someone who's got their number, and his name is Donald Trump, and he's not going to play the game like so many other presidents in our past have played the game and have sold us out. You have to realize that every president that we've had has had some sort of agenda to try to sell out America. There's been very few that have stood up for us. Lincoln was one of them. JFK was another one of them. Ronald Reagan was another. And now we have Donald Trump, who has been able to break the glass ceiling of getting out of an echo chamber. If it were not for Twitter, I'm not sure, or Facebook, because he's got a big following on both of us, I'm not sure that he would be able to get his message out. If he hadn't won the presidency, I can guarantee you that what they would have done to him would have been detrimental in his personal life with all his family. And realize that for a second. Just stop for a second and think, what would have happened to him had he not won? Where would we currently be today if she had won in a country? But as far as he is concerned and his family, think about that risk. I mean, that is making a very, very, very large bet on your legacy as a businessman, as one of the most renowned businessmen ever to be an American was Donald John Trump. And this, to me, this is a a solemn, sombering moment to know that he's got our back. And the fact that he's putting out this stuff about hydroxy to you, he's telling you, go research, go look, dig into what happened in the past. How did they do this? How did it spread? What did it all mean? And let's start talking about the cure, okay? Let's start talking about lots of cures, not just a cure for COVID, okay? And it's very interesting that COVID happens to line up with a certificate of vaccine ID. COVID. That's very interesting, isn't it? But as we've been digging in all this stuff, and we've been learning so much about how they've engineered our world and what it means, it all ties together. And that's one of the main reasons I wanted to bring Kiwi on tonight and have him here with this roundtable discussion so that he can share with you a little bit about what he is dug into and how this structure really works, because it is. We have learned, and we're going to go into this a little bit later in the program, so don't go anywhere, because we're going to dig into some of the quote unquote dogmatic fears that they have instilled on us to keep us divided, because I think that one of the largest things that Q brings to us is where we go one, we go all. I don't care if your beliefs are Hindu. I don't care if your beliefs are Buddhism. I don't care if your beliefs are Christianity. I don't care if your beliefs are Jewish. I don't care if your beliefs are Muslim. I don't care what your beliefs are. What I care about is that you want to learn the truth about what it is that we are as humanity. And what we are as humanity is at each other's throats because you disagree with this guy. And this guy said this and this guy. And I can't think that what he said over here is anywhere accurate because of what he believes. That is division. That is Tavistock. That is communism. That is not America. America is united in the project. Your country is not a place on the globe. Your country is a project. It is an experiment in freedom that has never been attempted ever before, and you came within one election. We came within one election of losing it all. And that is why your forefathers were so stern with you in their writings to say, it's a republic if you can keep it. Every citizen needs to be informed. If you're not informed of the law, then how can you participate in the system? You don't have an excuse to not be informed of how to not harm others. Then we have the massive stealing of our wealth that has occurred over the last 100 years. And then they stole your time, didn't they? They stole your time. And what is the white rabbit? And the white rabbit's always got the time on, right? I'm late. What is he always doing? He's always late. I'm always late. I've always got the time. What does that mean? It means you don't have any time. You don't have any time to think about politics. You don't have any time to think about where the Spanish flu came from. You don't have any time to think about, well, how did the plague really happen? Very interesting that it centers around the same areas of the world of the control system that we currently live in right now, aka, City of London or the Vatican. Okay? Places that are not on maps, places that are not on in the countries of which maps they are on. Okay? There's a specific reason for that. It's because they're outside of your purview. They're outside of law. And you have Hillary Clinton up there screaming that she shouldn't have to testify about her role in Benghazi because she's above the law. That's her only excuse. She just says she's above the law. So we as patriots are here to expose some very interesting and cool stuff to you. And one thing I wanted to share with you this evening is this thread that I did about, it started talking about free energy here, and we talk about the Tesla stuff, but it's not free energy, it's the ether. It's the sound waves. And if you notice that Q dropped us that above and beyond video yesterday, and if you haven't, there's like a 50-minute version of that that's very amazing to listen to. I actually listened to that a little bit earlier today. And what we understand is the difference between the frequencies, 440 versus 432. 440 tune A in music was changed after World War II. 440 has a degrading effect on your body. 432 has a healing effect on your body. Now, why would it be so important for them to change this to 440? What if we could prove, which we can, that this was part of the experiments that they were doing in Germany in World War II? What if we can prove, and we can, that both sides of the war were controlled by the same people? How would you be able to justify experimentation on the human condition the best? You would prop up a regime, you would take over a country, you would target a religious group, okay, and then you would unleash HELL on them and experiment on them, and you would try to learn what it is you can do in the future to capture America. Okay? What was the goal? The goal of World War II was to capture America. And then Operation Paperclip, they sent them all over here. They started working for NASA. They created NASA. They created all of these different systems that did not exist before then. They started taking your income. They started getting rid of tariffs. All of these things destroyed your country since 1913, since they instituted the central bank or the Federal Reserve. These points that we're showing you here tonight are very important for you to understand. 4 + 3 + 2 is 9. 9 is perfection in numbers. 4 + 4 is 8. Very different. So this is showing somatics. This picture here shows you examples of how water looks, or crystals look, whenever you charge them with energy. And just take a look at this. Look at how, just like when you put sand on a speaker and you make the different frequencies change in the somatics of your reality, you are water. You are 70% water. So if you keep hearing 440 hertz all the time, what does that do to your crystalline structure inside your body? What have they done to us? Did they hide this on purpose? Did they engineer this on purpose? They absolutely did. They do not have plans to heal you. They do not have plans to cure you. They had plans to keep you a slave. And so what we're presenting as Q, people thinking about this stuff and looking at this stuff, is we are the cure. The people. People are the cure. You get that? These people are sick, and you people are the cure. You can take that to mean whatever you want to take that to mean, but that is the way we're approaching this. And your president is showing you a micro-macro rendition. Micro-macro rendition. What is the cure? What is the cure of the deep state? Draining the swamp. What is the cure for coronavirus? Hydroxychloroquine. Do you need a vaccine? Kiwi, do we need a vaccine if we have a cure?
It's the chicken before the egg. Why would you? I mean, why would you need to have a vaccine if you'd already cured the disease? It's ridiculous. But on that subject of frequency and vibration and changing it, and it's kind of along the lines of quantum physics. But our bodies are made up of a bunch of particles that group together. But those particles are made up of matter that vibrates at a set frequency. So we, at our base level, we're a bunch of matter that's held together at a frequency. Now, these people have tried to mess with that frequency and alter it. But in quantum physics and things like that, the speed at which something vibrates, it often defines how it manifests physically.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And that's kind of part of the separation, right? Isn't that very convenient how they've separated us from thinking one is relevant to the other? I mean, it seems like it's right there on its face, very obvious whenever you kind of take it apart. But in reality, it's hard for people to see this. It's hard for people to understand that the ancient world was a lot more woke, I guess you could say, than we are today. We feel like we have all these answers and we're living in a modern society that has, access to all this stuff. But in reality, I'd like to see them go out on a big flat piece of ground somewhere and build a structure that looks like the pyramid in Giza. They can't do it.
And the stones that were cut and the accuracy of the stone cutting, we do not have the tools and the know-how to do it. So it goes to what you're saying before, that there have been times in our civilization or in human history where civilization has been far more advanced and they've pulled the pin on it. And it goes to the research that I was looking into last night when I looked back into malaria in ancient Egypt, and they found that the malaria parasite in the DNA of some of these mummies, and they're talking about King Tutankhamun. So are we seeing a repeat of what ended the Egyptian dynasties? Is this literally how they did it? Did they infect people with this parasite and just cripple the entire world at the time because their technology levels had reached too much for them to stop to suppress the truth any longer?
And isn't it interesting how it sort of it's consistently centering around the truth? All the stories that we've heard from the Middle Ages about, oh, well, what they did to all of the people who were saying different things about trying to reorganize how the universe works, or, the Knights Templar, and all of these different stories about what were they being sent? The Comies, we talk about the Comies that they would send out to maraud and take over territory, and then they would get their slice. All of these different things aren't just happening now. We can trace back in history where they've happened over and over and over and over again. And it's the same plight. It's the same people. It's the same problem. And we consistently lose because we don't have enough people that have the truth. Is that not do you feel like that's the reason we're always losing?
100%. It's because not enough people have the skills to discern the truth and the time and energy and effort to do something about it.
The time and the energy and the effort to do something about it. And so now we think about that laid over with the time that we had in the late 1800s in America, because we weren't struggling here in the late 1800s for, $20 worth of gold. You could buy like 500 dozen eggs or something. I mean, it was ridiculous how much a small amount of labor would produce a large amount of wealth. That was an unsustainable model to prevent us from having the truth. And it goes back, like he was just saying, it goes back into ancient Egypt. We can trace it back even further than that, back into the ancient world, and it's even further, okay? It looks like we are in some sort of massive prison that we have been taken over, and we are being manipulated. Our DNA structure has been manipulated, and now they've manipulated our DNA structure again because they weren't able to make us weak enough. So it's all about making you weak in your mind, and it's all about you not having the truth. And then they throw in your dogmatic beliefs that make you afraid of anyone else who doesn't think the way that you do. And that right there just pushes it over the top, in my opinion. Once you have all of those factors brought together, then it's like you almost just you can't cooperate. You can't function. Everything is divisive. Everything is mine. Everything is this. And instead of us being free, don't we want to be free? How can we be free if we don't have the truth?
A big problem, Shady, with the dogmatic beliefs is they close people's minds. They tell you this is the way things are, and they give you all the answers, but it stops you from thinking outside and looking in. It's been one of the oldest systems of control in the world. It's probably been around forever.
And it has been around forever. And this is the document. I'd like for the mods to drop you guys this Farm Guardian book publication, this is from Shaping the Decline of the USA, Tavistock. This is a great book to give you an overview of what Tavistock is and what they did in the modern world. And notice that all of your stuff, and we're going to go into a little bit more of it, but everything in our media centers around the blueprints that you can find in this document here of Tavistock and of the control system that is oriented towards media, your music, okay? The Rolling Stones, the Doors, the Beatles, all of them, David Bowie, all of them were operations. David Crosby, the 60s, the counterculture. Kiwi, does counterculture sound like division to you?
I think culture in general is used to divide. But
Right.
just on that point, JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratories, is also an acronym for Jack Parsons Project. And now Jack Parsons actually founded NASA and was heavily involved in the space project from the start. But if you look at his early life and his teachings, he was looking at the works of John Dee and other, I'm going to say Masonic, but they were theologians or they were from a different school, and they actually channeled the information via, I believe, a satanic or a negative entity. And it's all documented. You can go and look this up. But that's where NASA came from. And I think a lot of the NASA is a big money spinner. It's just to grab our attention. Hey, believe this, but give us all this money so we can get to Mars.
Right.
And what about the word culture?
Break that down. That's right. And it keeps you divided. It keeps you from realizing that humanity is humanity. Like how would they be able to convince, like Matrix, like how would they be able to convince us to war with each other if we didn't divide ourselves? You know, they wouldn't be able to, right? You know?
That's right. You know, when I was younger, everybody's like, oh, we need to turn the Middle East to glass. I'm like, that's not very godly. These are Christians, right?
Yeah, whenever we were attacking Iraq, is that what you guys wanted? Did you guys feel like, oh, we should just turn the Middle East to glass? Did you hear people say that? I didn't think that. I didn't think that we should be doing any of that. Personally, I didn't think we should be there at all. I didn't think there were weapons of mass destruction. I saw Rumsfeld up there saying, well, we have known knowns and we have unknown knowns, and there's things that we know, and there's things that we know that we don't know, and then there's things that we know we don't know. I mean,
and oh, by the way, we lost $2.3 trillion. Hey,
just the day before 9/11 was getting, disappeared from our conversations, didn't it? Because that day right now is, and I'm glad we actually came around to that moment, because that day changed us for 20 years, but it's going to come back around to being a day that unites us, because I think much like this, to me, a virus doesn't care if you're a Democrat. A virus doesn't care if you're a libertarian. And most libertarians or Democrats or Republicans don't care what affiliation you have. If there is a cure, doesn't matter. And so how are the people going to react whenever they realize that all of these things that they've been suffering with are literally reverse engineered from an antidote, so that if any of, quote, them come down with those things, then they have the ability to heal themselves. But they remove it from the market. They remove it from your being able to talk about it. They remove it from being able to see it. Systematically, they all coordinate and they all agree that you shouldn't have access to it. And so we have these people, George Soros, Henry Kissinger, Bill Gates' father, all look on the surface like they're doing these political things. They're eugenicists, guys. They are here to depopulate the earth. That is what they're here for. We had a video clip last week that we showed you on the show of Bill Gates, where he says, we're doing good at bringing child death. Whatever it was, the quote that he said on the air. They're not hiding it from you. Obama goes right out there. You can see the clip of him saying, we funded ISIS. They do not hide it from you. We're just too busy to see it. And what does that have to do with time? You're too busy. You don't have any time. Tick tock, Alice. Where's your time? Look at how that movie correlates to your current life. You have no time. You're always late. You're always moving. We have to struggle to make ends meet, as opposed to if we could easily make ends meet, whereas if our money had any value, then we wouldn't be struggling, and we would be thinking and cooperating and not at each other's throats, and not buying into this whole, this is your skin color. Oh, well, like the only racist people are the ones that we are fighting. Okay? The people that want to engineer a superhuman race or whatever are the people we are fighting. They are the racists. They are the ones that look down on people who have different skin color. They are the one that utilize the different countries around the world who are less fortunate than us and take advantage of countries like Haiti and take advantage of the continent of Africa for eons and eons and eons. And you notice how far behind Africa is from the rest of the world. Well, there's a really good reason for that. The reason is if we as modern people were able to go to Africa and to actually do some work like digging around and looking at the ancient gold mines there and the true history of our world, we would realize really quick that this 2,500 year, 3,000 year, 2,500 year BC timeline is complete garbage. And this right here, Tavistock, is what keeps us brainwashed. It keeps us from being able to see. And if we look through this, you see all the same players. U.S. has virtually taken over MIT, Stanford, Esalen Institute, Wharton School of Economics, Hudson Institute, Kissinger Associates, Duke University, and many more institutions we have come to think as wholly American. The RAND Research and Development Corps, under the tutelage of Tavistock, has had a profound influence on so many institutions and segments of our society as one of the principal research institutions directly controlled by Tavistock. RAND runs our ICBM program, does prime analysis for U.S. foreign policy, makers and advises on nuclear policy, does hundreds of projects for the CIA in the field of mind control. Some of RAND's clients include AT&T, Chase Manhattan Bank, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Department of Energy, BM RAND, one of the major Tavistock controls institutions. The reason I'm showing you this and the reason the mods are dropping the links to this is because Out of Shadows brought this up. He brought this up in the videos. Do you know how long? Do you ever remember seeing Tavistock in a modern documentary? No one talks about it because that's what's engineered the modern world. That's what they have utilized to enslave us, is the media. Our consumption of the television has gotten us in a bit of a pickle here. And Anons, Matrix, Kiwi, Sue, all of the wonderful mods out there, all of you beautiful Anons that come to our channel, come to our show and spread the information, you're the cure. You are the cure. You hold the truth. We walk with the truth. Everything is a rich man's game. And instead of keeping us in the dark, what we're attempting to do is make you rich so that you can play the game. That means you have time. And once you get time, they lose. It's really that simple. And so with all of this culminating and everything that you're seeing happening, right here you see, but there are many other intelligence agencies receiving instruction from Tavistock. Those include DDI, DIA, the National Reconnaissance Office, the Office of Naval Intelligence, the Treasury Intelligence Service, State Department Intelligence Service, Drug Enforcement Agency. We have been saying as conspiracy people for years that immigration and naturalization is not there to prevent immigration. They are there to make sure plenty of immigrants get here. The drug enforcement arm of the federal government is not there to prevent drugs from coming here. They're making sure that there is a plentiful supply. Do you honestly think that the CIA drug running worldwide trafficking, smuggling operations have any competition? And my answer to that is no. I don't think they have any competition. I think they're running the whole game from top to bottom, and it's becoming very, very evident in our day-to-day lives and what we see, what we're looking at. It's real, Matrix. It's real.
And that's why, Shady, that POTUS has pulled in, Donald Trump has pulled in the military to clean up the drug problem, because the people who were charged with dealing with the drugs, they weren't doing it. They were doing the opposite.
Yeah, and the drugs that they're trying to seize the most are the opioids, guys, which takes over and makes you dumb, and you're resistant to any draconian crap that they push at you. Sheep no more, guys. Period. Sheep no more.
Yeah, and you've talked about this quite extensively on the Matrix Groove Hour about the opium, what they did to China. How did they capture China a long time ago, before the revolution there, before communism took hold? 50 years ago, China didn't have many buildings more than 15, 20 stories high. There's a reason for that.
Opium.
Exactly.
Yep.
The British shipped opium to China and had it pushed out into the population.
And now you see, because of what the opium trade is, you see why now you can okay, you've been taught weapons of mass destruction, but now let's look at why we really bombed Afghanistan. Because some of the best heroin in the world is grown in Afghanistan.
They protected the poppy fields. Even Geraldo went out there and they admitted they were protecting the poppy fields for the Taliban guys.
That's not under the that's not under the carpet, but it sure doesn't really make any inroads with people who are kind of asleep. And so right here, real quick, I just wanted to, we're talking about the whole UN agenda, the globalists. There's no difference between the American Medical Association, the CDC, the UN, and the WTO. Okay, there is no difference. And here you see in 1972, we started with the UN control over American historical landmarks. How did they get access to areas to build laboratories underground? Did our founding fathers want the UN to control the national monuments in America, aka the Grand Canyon or Yosemite or any of the other parks and services? Well, they do. We handed all these things over to them in 1972. A treaty created the World Heritage Sites and Biosphere Reserves. You'll see the signs on any time you go. You're standing on American soil, but they're putting up their UN sign.
And Shady, I also wanted to point something out. Do you guys remember when they do it to this day? The firemen hold out a boot, you give them money, and they give you a poppy. Isn't that cool, guys?
Yes.
You guys see now? Are you guys awake?
What is the main goal? The main goal is to subdue you. Look at all and hey, we can look no further than the deaths from opium overdose. Go look at the graph from 2008 leading up to 2016, and then Donald Trump got elected, and wow, does that number plummet? Why is that? Because doctors are no longer allowed to just hand the stuff out like it's a Reese's cup.
The other thing, Shady, with opium, people are susceptible to opium, in my opinion, are people that have fallen out of the system of control already. Like a lot of vets that have seen the backwards way that Iran and the wars have happened and gone, the world is so wrong, we need to change it. And those are the people that are really susceptible to the opium epidemic. And it's no coincidence that there happens to be a system to keep those people quiet.
And we've created a whole nother generation of people that had to go to Iraq, people that had to go to Fallujah, people that had to go to Afghanistan, and they know, the troops, the men and women. Let's take the generals and the higher ups out of the equation. The men and women who are the troops on the ground. You think they're too stupid to know that they're protecting an opium field? They know. They were forced by chain of command to do what they're told. Okay. The people that were telling them what to do were not good. They were evil. They had an agenda. It was not what they told you. Everything that they tell you is a cover story so that they can work in the background. We discussed a little bit with Q dropping the statue of Shiva this week and the religious religious beliefs that are associated with that. And yes, I understand, but there are religious beliefs that are associated with every single statue type culture in history that has a story behind it. And what's happened is, Matrix, and I want to just say real quick that I'm on the air with you tonight with two of the very best diggers I have ever met in my entire life. And I'm telling you, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a great digger, but these two people right here are fantastic diggers, and they find stuff that Creator, that God wants us to find, because they're open, because they're objective, because they do not let their mind and their perception and their take on things, they have those things, but they do not let them interrupt what they're seeing as the truth. And that's the reason I think that Matrix and I gravitated towards each other so much, because you would not believe how two men can live completely different lives, but line up on so many things that we are passionate about. I mean, really lock, stop, and barrel, as far as I can tell. And you wonder, and you think, oh, how do you guys do this show? Because we don't I don't tell him what to say or not to say.
It takes hours to do the script, right?
Yeah, I don't tell you what not to say, and you don't tell me what not to say, and therefore it creates an environment where we have there's no resistance in there. And we get in there and then we start digging on stuff and it's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then we're open to seeing everything that's happening in front of us. And so, having Kiwi and Matrix in my life have been game changers as far as what we can present to you and how we can present it and who we are in history, who we are as people.
It's an honor, brother. Thank you for that compliment, man. And Kiwi, you do rock, brother.
Thank you, guys. Right in the feels, man. I'm not crying, you're crying.
That's an understatement too. So what we're seeing is everything is based in deception. Everything is based in deception. And the easiest way to keep you deceived is to feed you misinformation, to consistently be feeding you misinformation. Psychological operations. A psyop. Q is a psyop. The big difference is Q's not psyoping you with disinformation. He's doing the exact opposite. What Q looks to me to be is a quote-unquote white hat secret society that have been working diligently in the background to save our country since Kennedy at least. But, Matrix and I have theorized that, Q, John Quincy Adams, it goes back to the republic. It goes back to the desire to have a republic. And Q has stepped onto the scene and dropped information that every single organization and entity that we've just covered in the last hour of the show completely disagrees with. But all of you guys out here in the chat and that come to our show and they hang out with us seem to look at it and see it as truth. Now, we could jump on either side of the fence, but I'd like to suggest, just as Mike said the other day, who owns the fence? Evil owns the fence. You can't be on the fence. You got to pick a side. And the ne'er-do-wells have already chosen their side. They are evil. And evil is the deception. Evil is the lie. Evil is the division. Evil is the communism. Evil is Luciferian. Those things are one and the same. And we've been psyoped to think that this is different than that, is different than that, and this is different than that, and different than that, and different than that. And none of it makes any sense. And now I got no time. Now you've got some time. President Donald Trump has given you a little bit of time to kick back. Yeah, okay, I know we're struggling out there. I know people aren't working. I understand that. But trust me, you one day will look back on this time that you had in these last 30 days, and it looks like it's just about over, as a very valuable marker in your life. Did you get to know your family any better the last few weeks? Did you get to red pill anybody? Did you have a little bit more time to speak to someone in a larger conversation? Did you have more time to dig into things on the web on your own or to look further into things? Understand that we have been under warfare for centuries, thousands of years. Biblical. Precisely.
Shady, I'd like to speak on that a little bit.
I'd love to hear it.
So you just said we're 30 days in, right, of quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
Quarantine is biblical, believe it or not. 40, I can't speak French, but quarante or whatever is quarantine in French. Quarantine is also law, right? Admiralty law. It's a ship. They get quarantined if they are suspected to have, infected or whatever for 40 days. It is biblical. Our president keeps saying it's biblical. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights during the flood. Noah waited 40 days after the waters receded, and he sent out the doves, right? Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah. Moses spent 40 days and nights on Mount Sinai. The Israelites ate manna 40 years in the desert. Elijah was fasted for 40 days in the wilderness. Jesus spent 40 days fasting in the desert after his baptism. And Jesus also spent 40 days on earth following his resurrection. Also, 40 days after Easter, it's called Ascension Day. So you've got the Latin root of the word quarantine. It's 40. What year is it today, Shady? This year? What is this year today? What is it?
20.
2020?
2020.
So what's 20 plus 20?
40.
So now we have all of this stuff happening, guys. It really could be biblical. It could be a spiritual liberation of our souls, our nation, our world. The best is yet to come, Shady.
Yeah, and look at the timeline as well that lines up with that. With it's going to roughly be 40 days of this quarantine specifically, because it's almost over. And so we've already, we're already 35 days, 36 days right now. So by Monday, we're going to almost hit 40 days on the number. So think about that.
Pretty interesting, right?
Very interesting. You guys see what he's saying there? Like, we have all of this stuff that, you're looking at your world, and it is the matrix of your design. You can design yourself to be a drug addict. You can design yourself to be an alcoholic. And you can design yourself to be a successful businessman. You can design yourself to be a loving mother. You're designing yourself. Realize that this entity that we fight cannot create anything. It can only manipulate the existing structure. It can only divide. It can only deceive. It can only maneuver and hide, okay? Deception is the antithesis, or the opposite of the truth. Literally.
Maybe we have a cue.
Just now?
Yep.
Oh. Let's go see if I can find it here real quick. I don't actually have a map up. Did it just come in? Is this it right here? 17,
yes,
719. Let's see what Q says. Greetings from Maryland, D.C., Hawaii, and beyond. Where we go one, we go all. And let's see which great Patriots we have here. Oh, I just tweeted this a little bit ago. I literally tweeted this right before we came on the air. This is awesome.
Hill across the Delaware River.
I want you to listen to this gentleman and understand your power.
Greetings from Valley Forge and Bunker Hill across the Delaware River on Christmas night. From Antietam to Gettysburg, the Alamo to San Jacinto, Manila Bay to San Juan Hill, Bellawood to Marne, Iwo Jima to Guadalcanal, Salerno to the beaches of Normandy, Incheon to the Chosin Reservoir, Port Chop Hill and Way City, Mogadishu, Fallujah, Ramadi, and the Korengal Valley. We are the sons and daughters of George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King Jr., John Fitzgerald Kennedy, Ronald Reagan, and President Donald J. Trump. We come from Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, Central and South America, across all edges of the Pacific to the Atlantic. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave, o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. We're in this together. Where we go one, we go all. Thank you, and God bless.
Where we go one, we go all. You have anything to say, Matrix?
Wow, that's beautiful. It says everything. What a great patriot. Wow. This is what it's about, guys. I have missed being proud of my country.
Me too. Terribly.
When we were kids, we were proud of the Olympics, and we thought they were different countries, but they're not. But they're going to be again. We all want our sovereignty, Shady. That's the bottom line, worldwide.
Did you guys notice the tank in the background?
I did. What did you?
I thought it was pretty interesting that Q posted a video clip of a person in looked like a military outfit with a tank behind him. I thought that was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I was actually looking for the Q post where we had our Marines holding up the where they were holding up the signs in front of their faces, talking about, I did not sign up for the armed forces to fight a civil war in Syria. I don't see it right there as I scroll through, but that's what I was looking for. But we got that post quite a while back.
It's also cool, and I'm sure it's obviously just a coincidence, Shady, but when I did my little thing, like, where we go one, this is Matrix, I had my Punisher skull on, and I love how he posted the Punisher again. I love the Punisher, guys. It's one of my favorites.
Well, I think that is that's the perfect moniker for our movement, because justice, right? I mean, justice. All the media talk about Q and call us right-wing conspiracy fringe theorists and all these different words, but I'm not a violent human, and I do not want any violence on anyone, anywhere, anytime. What I want, justice. That's what I want. I want justice. I want people who are responsible for things that can be proven that they did out of evil or out of against the law or illegal to be held to account. If I do something wrong, if I get out here on the road and I go to the bar and I put 10 of them back and get on the road and drive and I kill and hurt someone or damage someone's property, then I'm held accountable. But if I go and open up a server to the world for them to steal our secrets for a price, I walk around. That ain't good. And that's what we're here to try to aggregate some irritation about. This, a lot of it comes down to fear. Did you see any fear in that guy's face, Kiwi?
No. And we want equal justice under the law. Obviously, there's people that are getting away with stuff, being covered up. We just want justice, guys. That simple. No matter who you are, what you want to label yourself, Shady.
I saw a lot of steadfast strength in his speech. I mean, he was 100% confident of what he was saying, and it came across that way to me.
And so that's the way Kiwi feels. That's the way I feel. I do not want violence. I do not want anyone harmed. All I want is people to be processed that have done illegal things. So now I would like to present you a little bit of a different take on things that are happening in our world right now. So let's take a second and listen to Assad in charge over here.
You know, you don't play games with this stuff. Kill the Chinese spies. Kill them now. I want them dead. No more games. I want Trump to issue death warrants now against all these people. I want them killed. I want them dead now. And that's not some big shoot my mouth off, act tough thing. I'll bring them down on me for that, but I don't care. I will not sit here and watch this country gang raped and the planet gang raped while we bitch and complain that some old people might die of a weaponized pneumonia. Sorry, the Chi-Coms with the deep state launched it. Now, I'm not going to kill anybody because that's not my job. I'm just saying, when you sell bioweapon sequencing systems, you get your neck broken. Like that. We're supposed to be ahead of all of this stuff. All this you do is covert action. We don't have time. I mean, they'll do that with the Mexican Mafia or MS-13 and give them an acid bath. Why aren't we taking the gloves off and sending in the Army and the Marines to kill these people?
Let me tell you why, Alex. Let me tell you exactly why. Because justice doesn't work like that, my friend. That is not justice. That is violence. What you're advocating here is violence. That is not justice. Whenever Q says by the book, and Matrix and I and Kiwi and all you wonderful patriots out there, we get up on our high horses on Twitter and Facebook and we talk about the injustices in the world. Do you go out there talking about you want to kill them? Does anybody in this chat want to kill anybody? How come this guy, every time he gets on the air, supporting what a quote, oh my God, why is he always talking about wanting to kill people? I mean, it is just getting a little bit nauseating to watch this thing right here subvert my movement and to act like he's a patriot whenever I know good and well that this guy is working behind the scenes to usurp exactly what it is we're doing, which is trying to show people the truth. This is not the truth. This is unbelievable to me. And just the fact that I used to at one point have an ounce of respect for this dude just irks me to no end. But that's what I'm standing against right there. That right there is no different than this right over here. It is no different than this. It's the same thing. I want justice. I want people who've done things wrong to be held account in a court of law. And if a jail sentence is their term, then a jail sentence is their term. But you're bouncing around out there trying to like make people run around and cut people's heads off and snap. Matrix, Kiwi, do you guys ever think about snapping people's necks?
Wow, man. That's just beyond words right there. I can't believe I actually listened to him at one point, man.
And it wasn't just, one or two people. He wanted to wage war against the broadly stroked Chinese people. I mean, that's not what this is about at all. This is about accountability. This is about finding the person that leaked it from the Wuhan laboratory. This is about holding people accountable and justice. We don't need to go over there guns blazing and just destroy a whole bunch of innocent people to solve this problem. We can do it logically.
And aren't we?
We are.
So why is it so hard for someone like that who's, the big mega bullhorn, the guy that's leading the charge, he's driving around in his Humvees in Washington, D.C. and stuff, screaming and yelling at people, anyone that asks a question, they don't get like, oh, no, well, it's kind of like this. You see, they went through these steps and they did all this stuff and then they kind of got in our way and then, and explaining it to people, Frank! We can't red pill like that, ladies and gentlemen. That's not red pilling. That is trigger. That is mind control. What you're seeing there is mind control. And we're all seeing it. And it comes from the same frickin' place as what we were talking about earlier. And it brings me to this great article here. And this is, the mods will drop this. You guys can see here on the, where is it? Features. I'm trying to, if I go here on Laurel Canyon and I click here, this is an amazing blog post that is huge. And it, part 1 through, 20 or something? 22, yeah, part 1 through 22. The mostly strange but mostly true story of Laurel Canyon and the birth of the hippie generation and the counterculture. The person that did all this research and put this together is no longer with us. They got him. But he put this information up and it's incredible. And thank you to Mike for including this in your documentary. And I did want to go in more depth. I do want to go more in depth on this because this is enormous and it covers everything. But just for a little taste right here before you go digging in on here. This is the bridge of the USS Bonhomme Richard, January 1964. Just months later, the guy on the right would guide his ship into the Tonkin Gulf. The young man on the left would begin a remarkable transformation into a brooding rock god, a.k.a. Jim Morrison of the Doors. Bonhomme Richard, by the way, was launched on April 29th, 1944 under the sponsorship of Catherine McCain, the grandmother of a certain presidential contender. This is all connected. And look at this. Until around 1913, Laurel Canyon remained an undeveloped and unincorporated slice of L.A. In that year, pretty significant to you these days? That year led to the stealing of your gold and systematically taking away your time and projecting spells on you. I would like for you to take, for your homework for this week, I would like for you to take your new eyes and go listen to one song. Go listen to Fleetwood Mac's song, Daddy. It'll tell you everything you need to know about what was going on in our world. And thank you to Mike Smith and Liz and Crux for bringing this up in your documentary because you turned new eyes onto this information. And I wanted to make sure that I got to share that link with all of you during the show tonight because it's very, very important because it connects to everything. The Beatles were a Tavistock project. The Rolling Stones were a Tavistock project. All of these bands, David Crosby, Joni Mitchell, all connected to CIA, Stephen Stills, all connected to intelligence agencies. This music was engineered in 440 to change and divide and destroy our country. They used the Vietnam War, which they created right there. I just showed you. Jim Morris's dad created we know the Gulf of Tonkin event didn't happen, but that set off the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War set off a counterculture, and they were right there to capture everybody. Much like the President Donald Trump won the election, and as soon as he won the election, they all started spreading their stuff in Discord to capture everybody. And a year and a half later, when Matrix and I found our way there, boy, they sure did have a little nest for us to land in, and a place where it seemed like we were safe and secure and people had our backs. But boy, that sure did turn out to be a little Tavistock, didn't it, Matrix?
Yeah, they friends for over a year and a half, and all of a sudden,
turn on a dime.
They just turned, like flipped a switch.
So for the last thing I want to cover for you tonight, I'm going to read this, and Matrix and Kiwi and I are just going to discuss it a little bit as I get through this here. I'm going to read you about, take me like a couple of minutes to read this. This is an article called "The Saturn Moon Matrix Your Reality is Being Hacked, and the Archons or the Anunnaki have hijacked the Earth, and that a genetically modified human Archon hybrid race." Saturn Moon Matrix Your Reality is being hacked, and the Archons or Anunnaki have hijacked the Earth, and that a genetically modified human hybrid race in organized gang stalking, they using subtle and hidden overt methods to sensitize, ostracize, paralyze, victimize, dysfunctionalize, traumatize, wickidize, polarize, terrorize, imprisionize, disempowerize, dispiralize, demoralize, demonize, drive to suicide. These methods is spiritual and psychological warfare strategies. It is both spiritual and psychological evil aggressions against the human mind and soul. Fear and intimidation are major weapons of the enemy. Fear keeps the alpha bridge of corpus callosum down and limited. Fear keeps the third eye of intuition closed. Fear keeps the 2 DNA strands separated from the 10 etheric DNA strands from to be activated. Fear keeps the heart chakra closed and disconnected from the flow of healing energy. Fear disconnects divine communication. Fear disconnects other dimensions and higher consciousnesses. Fear hides the real self. Fear creates all the limitation of fear, negativity, bondage, illusions, darkness. Fear disturbs, distracts, and distorts your reality. Fear split reality into two, make two worlds out of one, and this is the Matrix, mind, prison, dream world. Fear controls the Matrix, the world, or the dream world, the 2 DNA strand and progress of humankind. Fear, sensitize, ostracize, imbalance, paralyze, victimize, dysfunctionalize, traumatize, polarize, terrorize, imprisionize, disempowerize, demoralize, demonize, and this is the work of organized gang stalking and the work of the Archons. Fear blocks one's vision and then the flow of energy and information, creativity, and learning. Fear is what keeps humankind trapped, captivated, and imprisoned in the Matrix. Fear disconnects the real self, creates bondage and limitations, and the goal with fear and noise harassment is to poisoning the need of a silent pathway in the work of a yoga or meditation to get to the silent divine state of bliss. And fear, noise, and stress prevent or make it more difficult for a spiritual awakening to be completed. And Satan's goal is to create a failure and errors. That's why Satan, working day and night to break down willpower and faith by sensitize, ostracize, imbalance, paralyze, victimize, dysfunctionalize, traumatize, polarize, terrorize, imprisionize, disempowerize, demoralize, demonize. All these actions produce negativity, bad stress, and hurtful free radicals in the human body system. In other words, think about this. We were just talking earlier about the vibrations. Fear has numerous faces and has been ingrained into our system in countless ways. Fear is reflected in our beliefs, emotions, and in the collective consciousness grids. It is locked in our energy bodies, organs, and cells, and it is an inherent part of our minds. This means that stepping out of fear is a process that requires time, diligence, perseverance, willingness, and a clear intent to never give up. Even though the process might at times be incredibly frustrating, we will never step into a new consciousness if we are not willing to undertake this path. And we will never make a real connection with the STI. The process by stepping out of fear has 3 major steps: connecting with your heart, connecting with the frontal lobes of your brain, and the stimulation of the frontal part of your amygdala. Archon system, is designed to keep us enthralled in their system and ignorant of how the universe actually works. Don't want us to know this information, because if we did, we would walk through the prison bars and free ourselves from the prison, because the prison bars do not hold you. You just see them there and think they do. This alien group requires that we don't develop our natural psychic senses, open the third eye, and learn the yoga science of liberation, because this would give us the ability to see beyond the veil of ignorance that's been set in place around us for eons, thousands of years. They removed the one strand of your physical DNA to make us forget who we are and to keep us imprisoned in their pain system. They want us to live with brain imbalance. They make us operate only through one brain hemisphere, the left brain. When the right and the left brain are balanced, one is able to connect up and more easily obtain information. When you're centered and balanced, your energy will expand, and they don't want light expanding because it will activate more DNA strands, which they have genetically manipulated to the 2 DNA strand. The right brain hemisphere and the theta state is related to the bliss consciousness, and when fear controls the brain, the alpha bridge between left and right hemisphere disappear. Error that man has made in believing that power is outside him and connected to the divine powers within the state within the junk DNA. Humans is said to be the most intelligent beings, and humans in the only species who invented their own prisons. This mind prison is kept in place through the 3 knots of bondage and limitations. The mind prison is the result when every spiritual function is turned off. Real self, real reality, real knowledge. This veil, evil of ignorance holds a rigid structure in place that does not allow the DNA software program and the coding structure of the DNA to actively integrate into the higher dimensional chakra system necessary to activate aspects of the hypothalamus, medulla oblongata, and the pineal gland. There is the actions of Maya. There is a veil of ignorance and fear in place. There is 3 knots of limitations and bondage in place to the human energy system. There is a matrix mind prison. There is the ego and 5 senses. There is a carnal mind. There is the archons that prevent the soul from ascending. There is a devil that distorts, disturbs, and distracts the human mind. There is the actions of organized gang stalking on earth. And there is powers and authorities and principalities of darkness.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is why people like Matrix and Kiwi and I are on this wall. I could not imagine having a better, more talented group of people gather with to discuss some of these disturbing things that bind us. Let's realize that we are in bondage. Let's realize that they no longer control us. Those things we can do. Those things are up to us. What did you think about that, Kiwi? Matrix, what do you think?
That was awesome, Shady.
It was awesome, and there are 2 new Q posts as well. But
let's grab them.
Very well. Yeah. Wow. And that's about fear. They want to harvest your fear. You see that?
They want the loosh. Loosh is your energetic fear. They cannot harvest your love. Why can they not harvest your love? Wonder why they can't. My love. Interesting.
And what does Q say? Do not fear.
Do not fear. Let's see. What do we got? We got a video here, looks like.
Yep, and a picture.
Yeah, look at it. Oh, it's the above and beyond the same video from yesterday, right?
Yep.
And then the picture of looks like a mowed cornfield.
Harvested corn.
The corn looks cut, Matrix.
It's harvested, bro. It's harvested.
That sort of supports the theory that I was kicking around with you guys last night, that what I think Q meant by that first time he posted that video was to clear our minds of the programming. Like, I think that may have been literally a key to undoing some of the damage that they've done in our minds.
And don't you think that this hydroxychloroquine is probably a little bit of a lead in to what ails us?
I think it's going to be huge, Shady.
I do too.
The more research I do on the hydroxychloroquine and the effects that parasites have had on the humans for all time, and to know that this drug, hydroxychloroquine, is
that be hid this from you. We would not have our economy shut down right now had the media, the powers that be, the politicians, the governors been jerking around with impeaching, with covering up this drug that heals so many things. We would not be going to the to the job office, right, to file for unemployment had the powers that be acted quicker, guys. Shady, this is just amazing. I cannot believe, people are still like, oh, well, we need to open the economy. Yes, we need to open the economy. But people were jerking around so much. The people that you all voted for, maybe not here, but it's got to stop, Shady. There's got to be an awakening, and soon. And I think we're on track, guys.
Speaking of jerking around, look at what Alex Jones is doing. We've got this massive drop of hydroxychloroquine being this drug that we need to look into, and he's out there trying to have the Chinese killed. I mean, right. He's not pointing the finger back to Hillary Clinton and Obama, who claimed they created ISIS. Even Donald Trump's told us they created ISIS. AJ's not going on about that. He's going, quick, get enraged, go over and kill the Chinese.
And it's like a one track mind, isn't it? And we did drop, the stream did drop. I hope we're back up. Looks like we're back up, but we did drop out for a second there. So there's something happened, but I think we're rolling now. Sorry guys. We'll jump on, somebody wanted Kiwi to maybe talk about the hydroxy again. They might have missed you there a little bit at the end, bud.
So, I mean, the hydroxy, for me, I've suffered from an undiagnosed inflammation of joints condition for the last 2 years. I've had blood tests done. They can't find inflammation in the blood. I've taken all the sugar out of my diet. I've done so many things, but this is really starting to cripple my ability to move. And for me, to see that this is linked to Lyme disease, to lupus, to malaria, and then to find out that there's this drug that's been hidden from that has a really good shot at dealing with this stuff. It's frustrating, but B, it's very exciting for me. I'm really looking forward to seeing what wonderful things come from Donald Trump telling the world about this drug.
I mean, I think it's going to be unprecedented. And like we were saying earlier, like how is the media going to be able to attack him whenever this starts to work with people? They're going to have no slings, no arrows, no cannon will be large enough to harm him because people are going to see the truth. They've been claiming that he is a dictator and a tyrant. Well, let me tell you something. Right now, he is, because he's taken control of all 50 states, and then he released them to the governors to become the dictator. As he says, I have control, but you do as you see fit in your state. That is turning the laser pointer to the governors. You see, they've been calling him all these things because I think that they knew that at some point he was going to make a move to adjourn Congress so that he could make his appointments and fill his cabinet. But otherwise they're going to keep him on the hook for these people for the next year, 2 years, 3 years. They don't care. And so the moves that he's making are tyrannical towards the deep state, but they are freedom for the republic. See how they talk in code? And just to note that this this JPEG file is named harvested _corn_ field 5 anons.
I love it.
And
remember, there was a Comey in a cornfield.
There was a Comey in lots of fields, Comey in the trees, Comey on the road, Comey in a tunnel, Comey at Lincoln. Q post 3986. We are 14 away from 4,000 Q drops, and an anon says to Q, ex-military here, Q, please don't let us down. We were willing to die then and still willing to die now. Do us proud, please. Q says, for God and country, brother. Q, you think this is a game? You think this is just words on paper? You think this is drops from a basement somewhere in Podunk, Texas? Okay? This is happening. Your world is changing. You don't have to believe it. You do not have to believe that your world is changing, but it is. And it's going to change around you. And it's going to change with you. And you're going with us. Kiwi, Matrix, Poussant, all of the moderators here on this channel, all of the great members here who've helped us, for all the people that have helped support us over this last year and a half, who have believed in our message, who have thought that we needed to be heard by other people. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me and all of us a place where we can breathe, where we can express, where we can speak. Yeah, they come at us. Yeah, they censor us. Yeah, they attack us. How's that working out for them? How are they coming along with that? Every single time they strike at us, they expose themselves, ladies and gentlemen. And the drive to free our nation is stronger than it has ever been, simply because you are no longer a sheep. You no longer taste good. You no longer feed them your energy. You've elevated your awareness, which gets you out of the dimensional low vibration and up into the high energy where we stand and we will not stop. There's nothing that's going to stop this. Nothing going to stop what is happening right now in this movement. You guys are awesome. Matrix, Kiwi, you inspire me every single day, and I wanted to make sure that I let you know that here on the Q Lounge Live.
Wow, Shady, thank you so much, man. You've inspired me. You've led me to some amazing new skills and talents and views, and I'm just so happy to be here with you on Matrix and everyone in the chat. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Shady, I wouldn't be here without you, brother. And you're amazing. I love the Q Lounge Live. I'm glad you're back because I think a lot of people have missed your insight, your way with words, the way that you make people feel amazing. And if you feel amazing right now, you feel good right now, let's see a 17. Love to see it. Give that to Shady. And Shady Groove, I love you so much. I love the Q Lounge Live. I love you, Kiwi Patriot. I love each and every one of you out there. I told that to the folks in Discord as well. Q Army Plus Discord. You can get on that with Patreon. We're in this together no matter what. Where we go one, we go
all.
I love you all. All we want is the truth, guys. All we want is the truth. We want justice, equal justice under the law, and we want truth, folks. Really that simple.
Man,
and we're getting it. We're getting there, guys. We've come so far. There's so much happening, and it's incredible.
You're so right. You're so right, man. And I couldn't be here without these two guys. It makes things so much easier to work whenever we have an environment where we understand that there is no obstacle to the truth, and the truth overcomes anything that we previously think once it's presented to us. That is who we are as people. That is who we are in this world and in this life. And that is who all of you are. You are truth seekers. You are truthers. We have all been, and I've said it a million times, and I'm going to say it again. You were there. We were there together. Remember this. We were there at one point together, and we said we're going to go in. We're going in on a mission. I hope to God we find each other once we're inside this system that we're currently living in, because we all came here to free it. We all came here to not take any BS. We all came here to wake up, and they tried to distract us with pain. They tried to distract us with drugs. They tried to distract us with alcohol. They tried to distract us with propaganda. They tried to distract us with history. They tried to distract us with any little thing they could use to divide us. Religion, culture, whatever you want to call it. They tried every single thing they could try, and still you fight. Look at you. Thank you for all those 17s. I saw them scrolling there. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. We fight for you.
God, that was so well said.
We fight for you. We fight for
amazing,
freedom.
Shady. You're on fire. We need more Q Lounge Live, Shady. You are on fire. I got the chills right now. I want to hug you, and I love you very much, man. And I love each and every one of you. And Kiwi, you came into our life, man, dude. And Sue, who sucked. And we've got some amazing people queued up, came into our life. Jackie, Liberty, LK, Busan QD, Rocket, Shady, Pickles. I love you all.
So blessed, guys. Love you all so much. Thank you.
So much thanks for Matrix and Kiwi coming on here tonight to join us. I could not have asked for a better group of people to be in front of and speak to. We could not have found a better time in reality to be alive. You could not have found a better group to join in. We have won. We won this before the first shot was fired, Anons. You know you did. I would really like to say that we now have been demonetized on YouTube. If you would like to consider sponsoring us, we have the Patreon links down below. For a $10 a month donation, you can come and join us in the Discord, the members-only Discord, an amazing group of people over there. And much love to all of you that are listening right now from the Discord. Thank you so much for your participation. We also have links to Magazon, some great products there, and My Patriot Supply. If you need some stuff to get ordered from there, please run it through our little code within the Matrix, because that helps us out. It helps the channel here, helps everybody. And support Out of Shadows. Spread it far and wide to Mike, to Liz, to Kevin, and to Brad. You are Team Anon now. And for the rest of you out there, please feel free to post in the YouTube comments below. If someone asks you a question, don't hesitate to help them out if you can. And if not, maybe direct them to one of us and maybe we can help them out. But we are here to spread the notion that there is a clear line between truth and the lie. The lie is that they are the global elite. The truth is that you are the global elite. You stand for freedom. You stand for truth. You stand for justice. And within that, I don't see any way that we could possibly lose. From my vantage point, like I said, we won before the first shot was fired, Anons. There is no turning back. We have conquered the deception. Share it with everyone you know, with freedom, love, and passion in your heart, and you can't lose. And with that, much love, everybody. Thank you for joining me here. And until next time, much love.
deep, so it's drama in the club.